Hello there my Jedi and Sith friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your friend and your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And today we have some huge reveals for the Mandalorian and Grogu, as well as some new predictions for the forecasted box office. I know that's not the most positive thing to discuss, but it's been making the rounds. A lot of folks are talking about it, so we are going to cover the latest. And we've also got an update from Sam Witer, who's answering the question, what is Star Wars canon? Now before we dive into it though my friends, please be sure to hit the big subscribe button down below, like the video if you enjoy it, ring the bell for notifications. The month of May, Star Wars month, is finally upon us. After the weekend, this coming Monday is May the 4th, official Star Wars Day with the Maul Shadow Lord finale. I can guarantee you we're gonna have a lot to talk about after those final 2 episodes, and hopefully a trailer or 2. This is certainly gonna be a big one, so we would be honoured if you would join us. But no more jibber jabber my friends, let's dive straight in. So one of the big reveals we're gonna talk about later in the video concerns retcons, and in line with this, I want to begin with a huge update from Sam Witer. He of course is in the spotlight at the moment, voicing Maul in Maul Shadow Lord, and he's just provided his contribution as to what Star Wars canon means. Ever since the expanded universe was relegated to Star Wars Legends, and we no longer have a tiered approach, there has been an ongoing debate in the fandom as to what is considered canon and what isn't. And it doesn't help that Disney themselves retcon their own content all the time, whether it's the Ahsoka novel, some of the old Clone Wars content. At this point I've probably made like a dozen videos on the topic, but today Sam Witer chimes in. So do you remember when Dave Filoni said that to him canon is like jazz music? It's malleable, it's changeable, and he also likened canon to campfire stories. And so there is no such thing as one coherent canon story. The backbone of the story is the same, but specific details can vary based on the storyteller. And at the time, rightfully so, fans were pretty upset about this. While Sam Witer appears to have the very same take. I love Sam, I love Dave, but I do think they're wrong about this. Here is the new quote from Sam Witer. I realised that Star Wars is campfire stories. Talking about did Ahsoka Tano have blue lightsabers in the Siege of Mandalore? Or were they green? Depends on which campfire you heard that story. Did Starkiller yank a Star Destroyer out of the sky? Or did he mind trick the pilot? Well, depends on which campfire, who you were around, when you heard the story, and who the teller of the story is. Now look, I actually do see where he's coming from with this, and generally with fiction, with cultural stories, and the way our ancestors told stories around a campfire word of mouth, in that regard it does make sense. But with the Star Wars universe where we see the stories unfold on screen, I do think it's important to have a consistent, concrete canon. To me, this just sounds like a way to excuse future retcons. Some people might be okay with it, especially with smaller details, but if you take this logic to its natural conclusion, it's all up in the air to be changed, and you can just give the excuse that the storyteller was different. I understand that Star Wars has always been full of inconsistencies. It doesn't matter if it's the expanded universe, George Lucas Star Wars, or Disney Star Wars. I just don't understand this incessant need to make everything so vague. If you're gonna call something canon, there needs to be clear rules and consistency. Especially with the rumours that they might do something to retcon Maul's death in Rebels, I'm kind of afraid of this approach being the dominant voice for the future of Star Wars. He mentions lightsaber colours. Is that really hard to be consistent about? Is it really that hard for the animation team to work with the authors and previous content? Can someone like Pablo Hidalgo not just say, well it was this way in the book, so we're going to make it align with this show? I just don't understand why this is such a big struggle for them. But moving on to some big reveals for the Mandalorian and Grogu my friends, we're going to begin with confirmation that Carson Teva is in fact in the movie. I think we kind of expected him to appear after the Lego leak, but today we have our first look at his appearance in the movie, thanks to Galaxy of Heroes. Pretty much exactly the way he looks with his jacket in The Mandalorian's 3rd season. And I loved his character in Mando Season 2, Season 3, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. In other big Mando reveals my friends, do you remember when a couple of the trailers and TV spots showed us that Embo has a new Anooba? That's the wolf creature. Well, after fans theorized this is the same Anooba from the Clone Wars and that Lucasfilm is retconning his death in the Aftermath books, an upcoming LEGO set that was just unveiled today has confirmed that this is a new member of the species. And so Marrok, which is the one from the animated show, unrelated by the way to the Inquisitor who shares the same name, is going to remain dead. This Anooba is called Kabu. So thank goodness we're not getting more retcons. And in this new set, we get a better look at one of the Hutt Palace Sentry droids, which some people have theorized is a B3 battle droid from Legends, but to me this is confirmation that in spite of their similar designs, this is a brand new type of droid. And as we've seen with so much newer canon content, oftentimes for creature designs, droid designs, Lucasfilm borrows concepts from the expanded universe or old comics, and they mix and match the stuff they like to create a brand new design. It's very similar to what they did with the Dark Troopers in the Mandalorian second season. They weren't identical to the ones from The Force Unleashed or Dark Forces, but the inspiration was clearly there. But something else I find really fascinating about these Sentry droids is they didn't look as colourful as the LEGO set is implying in the trailer footage. Lighting can be deceiving. The behind the scenes look at them do show us that their colours have worn out, and each guard now has a name. My dear friends, I introduce you to Bullet Head and Argez, the protectors of the Hutt twins. Okay, so those are just some new reveals for the movie itself, but now we need to talk about the Hollywood Reporter's projections for the box office. There's been so much doom and gloom about The Mandalorian and Grogu being the lowest box office Disney Star Wars ever had. People are saying it's going to do worse than Solo, but as I've been saying, word of mouth could make this thing do higher numbers than they expected. It does have a lower budget, so that's also something to take into account. But the new projection making the rounds states $80 million. And here's their rationale. They say this: will the Force be with Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu at the box office? If pre-release tracking is right, the Jon Favreau directed movie, a continuation of his Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, will open in the $80 million range at the domestic box office over the long 4-day Memorial Day weekend. And that's according to sources with access to internal data. And they go on to say that that's in line with expectations from Lucasfilm and Disney, according to Hollywood Reporter insiders. But one consideration they concede is that as we approach May the 4th, marketing for the movie is about to go into overdrive. Not to mention the Mandalorian and Grogu World Tour has already begun. There have been events across Europe, in Paris, in Madrid, the London one is on May 7th, and word of mouth could do wonders for this film, and the box office could increase over time. Deadline.com also believes 80 million is the correct ballpark, but it should be noted, both outlets have been very wrong in the past, and they tend to lowball. They were very wrong about Michael Jackson. I guess the difference with The Mandalorian and Grogu is overall the hype has not been as widespread. There are pockets of intense excitement and huge marketing in places like Japan. In France, they've been doing quite a lot. They even just opened a dedicated Star Wars pop-up shop. But in America, in the UK, the marketing and anticipation has been far more quiet. So when all is said and done, I still think maybe 400, 500 million. And yes, hype for Mando has died down in recent years, and the peak was in 2019 to maybe, let's say, 2021. But you still see kids fanatical about Grogu. In the parks, the numbers are pretty insane. So I think these outlets are probably onto something, and I'm inclined to think they might be generally in the vicinity of where The Mandalorian and Grogu is going to land. But you never know. The first Star Wars movie in 7 years is a bit of a wild card. And maybe that's just me being optimistic, but let's wait and see.